Even the most financially savvy professionals can underestimate how illness and incapacity can impact their long-term plans. True financial literacy goes beyond investments and saving. It's about building resilience. In this discussion with Motshabi Nomvethe, Head of Segment and Growth at PPS, we explore how advisors can help clients integrate sickness and incapacity cover into their financial strategies to protect their earning potential and sustain independence. Welcome, Motshabi.
Thank you so much, Rianet.
Motshabi, professionals are typically confident in their financial knowledge. Where do you think are the blind spots when it comes to protection against illness or incapacity?
Look, funny enough, I would actually even like to challenge that assumption because we run what we call our graduate professional index on an annual basis since around 2015. And our professionals actually tell us that they don't feel so confident. They are
Okay.
masters in their own trade, but they do need help, especially with all things financial. So I think that's one of the assumptions I think we need to work at not assuming, because there really is a cry for help. And like you've alluded to in your intro, it's really about helping them understand the full spectrum of financial services, and more specifically, obviously, insurance and investments, and how each of them has a role to play as they journey through life, and why all of them are important, because we do tend to focus on the one or the other. And it really is about this mix that constantly evolves as the life stage and where the person is changes as well. So those are things we need to look at to start those conversations, especially with our professionals.
Yeah, I think that is so true, that life stages that you go through. And that is why that yearly or twice a year conversation with your client is so critical, right? Because I think a lot of clients can testament to the fact that they had these advisors that sell them products and they never hear of them again.
Mm.
But the reality is that those conversations are critical, and for the advisor to also know and just be slightly aware of those stages that a
Yep.
client, there's a baby, there's a
Mm.
go through. We're getting older faster than we want to, and all those conversations, right? So, how can advisors reframe sickness and incapacity cover from being seen as a grudge purchase to a strategic component of financial resilience?
It's really a very good question, because I think, especially these days, we cannot afford to see any type of insurance as a grudge purchase. So the
Yeah.
conversations really should be about, I think professionals especially need to understand, firstly, what it took for them to get to where they are. And more importantly, then, what they stand to lose if things don't work as they should. They've invested so much time, so much effort, blood, sweat, and tears into building their professions. And really, where they need to see insurance in and saying, that's going to be something that holds me steady to allow me to recover. So I think
Yeah.
once you change the framing of insurance as a whole, and understand, like I said, what do you stand to lose? Come and say you can't work today. What then?
Yeah.
Because that's your livelihood. And in most
Yeah.
cases, not only your livelihood, but the livelihood of your family as
Whole
well.
family. Yeah.
So I think the minute people can understand that and accept that they do need to protect themselves and hedge themselves against those risks, then the conversation, I believe, suddenly gets very different and becomes very
Yeah.
different, because now they understand the real why. I think why we come from a background of seeing it as a grudge purchase was that we didn't spend enough time on the why. So in our environment, especially, it's really a simple thing that, like I said, you've spent years studying, perfecting yourself, perfecting your skill, and really putting yourself out as that person, that master. And then you need to say, if I'm not able to do what I do best because ill health has taken the better of me, then what? And what we also know for sure is having the financial means taken care of does give you then the space and the time to be able to recover, to get back into what you love doing, what you are good at. So I think if you can really understand that, then you should start seeing it differently. And there's so many examples that we can give, but it's about firstly protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Probably part of the other reasons why people used to see insurance as a grudge purchase was that historically insurance was always either a funeral cover or life cover, which doesn't benefit me, the person. It's great for my family and my dependents and beneficiaries, but what about me? Whereas sickness cover really does look at you, the person, you, the individual, what you bring to the table, and then how to help you ride the waves as they come.
Yeah, two comments. I think as an industry, and doesn't matter which part of the industry, we all want to get rid of that grudge purchase word. We don't want to even think that people think that it's that anymore. So I think there's a really big focus to change that. And the second part, I think it's only for you a grudge purchase when nothing has happened to you or a close family member or a friend, right? Because then you realize I should never use that word again, because if I did not have that, my
But
situation
even
would have been.
having said that, I'm sure all of us know someone
Yeah,
who's had some
100%. And
sickness
still,
event.
yeah,
So it doesn't need to happen to you personally. I always say there aren't enough hours in the day and there's not enough years left for all of us to make the mistakes that others have made. Others, unfortunately,
yeah,
did not know better. And so that is
100%.
fine. Our job is to
Learn,
learn from them and hopefully not
yes.
make those same mistakes, because something like illness, I could be as healthy as a spring chicken today.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen to me today, tonight, when I wake up tomorrow morning. And that's what we need to try and protect. And what we are finding, especially from a PPS perspective, is that we're getting claims around our sickness benefit from younger and younger members. So it's also
really.
not even a question of, I will attend to this when I'm X age, when I'm in my 40s or midlife or etc. Because
Sure.
we are finding that younger people are getting serious illnesses, things that we
Really.
would never think of in the past. So, the time honestly is now, because we
Yeah,
just don't know.
yeah. I think it's stress levels and all kinds of things
Our lifestyles are
contributing
not
to it.
helping us, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Our
yeah,
lifestyles definitely are a huge contributor
yeah,
to a lot of the illnesses that we see. And if you look at again our claim stats, a lot of us, it's stress related, sitting
yeah,
too long, always on, not switching off.
yeah,
Your body has to take a knock
yeah. No,
in some way or
100%.
other.
But I think it's also our South African people that we just never stop working, right?
No,
Yeah,
no. And COVID made it
yeah,
worse. I think
yeah.
this, there was value in driving to the office and leaving an office, because then you switch off.
I
That was like your
agree.
cutoff time to switch off. And
I
then as you
agree.
drive back, then you think about, okay, fine, what's going to happen at home? What's for dinner? Kids, read a book, whatever, just to break the cycle. Now
Yeah,
we started with hybrid working, or we're still full-time online, and we
I,
just always on, always
yeah,
sitting
yeah,
and always on. And
yeah.
something's got to give.
Needs to change. PPS client base tend to think in probabilities and outcomes. How can advisors use data? I love data, or scenario planning to help them appreciate the real world impact of an unexpected incapacity event?
Look, like you said, the good news is that we are now spoiled for choice in terms of data. So, and it's accessible. The good thing as well is that we can look at ourselves just as South Africa industry wise, but also then across the globe, and the trends are the same.
Yeah,
So we now have reliable data that advisors can take to clients. Some clients are more technical than others. So first, it's about understanding your client and what's really going to make them tick. Some
yeah,
people want numbers.
yeah,
Give them the numbers, the stats that I've given to you, and a whole lot more, and say to them, you could be one of those people who fall into this, because none of us are immune.
yeah,
Storytelling is my personal favorite, because like I said earlier, we all know someone or of someone
yeah,
that where something has happened. And I always say in my job, I've experienced both sides of it. I've experienced having to support someone, or speaking to people who have had the support and the financial means, because either themselves or their family took out the right kind of cover. And equally so, I've experienced people who have not had that kind of protection, and how they had to start absolutely rock bottom, and what that
100%.
did to them, to the family, to their emotions,
Yeah,
their mental health, etc. So I've really seen it, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. So it's about bringing those stories home, and not to make people fearful, because then we would have done an awful job at this. But it's really about just making people understand and believe that a person who's gone through X was just like you and me,
yeah,
until that eventuality happened. And
yeah,
then they were either protected, they made a decision. And remember also, not making a decision in itself is a decision.
yes,
And I think financial advisors need to be able to get that to their clients as well, to say, It's not to horrify you. It's not to scare you. It's not anything. It really is just to help you to prepare. Because the only thing we can ever do, the best thing we can ever do for ourselves is to be prepared. So like I said, with all the data, all the examples that we have at our disposal, it really is about connecting it to the client's specific story. Because again, clients are all different.
Yeah.
So as an advisor, if you know your clients, if you do those reviews that you spoke about, you will know what speaks to that specific client of yours. Then you will know what data to expose to them to get action out of them so that they can be protected. And one day they will thank you. I always say financial advisors are really our big brothers and sisters. They're like our little consciences that should be scratching at us every time. They need to know absolutely everything that we do. Like you said, has a child been born? Has someone passed on? Have you bought a house? Have you bought a car? Etc. They should be at the center of that and then helping you to navigate the decisions that you need to make as things change. And that's all that we really need to look for from an advisor. And if you have a very good relationship, then it's easy for them to know, I speak to Motshabi this way and I speak to Rianet this way because this is what appeals to them and what will get them into action. Because ultimately that's what we need. Talk alone is cheap. Ultimately, it's about then the actions you take post the advice that you are given to put measures in place to protect yourself.
Yeah, that's very valuable advice. And then the next challenge, the fact that we live long. So what practical guidance can advisors follow to integrate protection planning with broader wealth or retirement strategies without it feeling like two separate conversations?
Exactly. This actually goes back to what I said earlier on about our life stages. And like I said, at all stages of our lives, we need from risk protection, personal risk protection, all the way through to investments. And as you journey with your advisor, it's a question of what do I need the most of at this point in my life? Because it's going to be substantially different to what you need 10 years from now. Maybe 10 years from now, the kids have moved out of home. You might have paid the bond off. Your debt might be less. You still need protection, whether before in the form of income protection, because again, with living longer, we are working longer, those who can. All right, because most people say 65 now is too young. What do I do with myself? And it's great because they've got the skills. We want to keep those, right? But then that also it changes a lot of dynamics. It needs to be, like I say, constantly moving, constantly evolving with your needs and finding that perfect balance. And I know some people might argue and say, is there ever a perfect balance? Because life also can, it has its own life and can throw many curveballs at you. But it's about really trying to, you need to have investments for living longer. I mean, if you think of insurance 101, it was always about savings and investments for if you really live long. Risk insurance in the form of either sickness benefits, life cover, critical illness. If something happens to you, whether too soon, for example, if you die too soon, what happens to your beneficiaries, your family, or if you get an illness, and to your point as well, that now, because of medical technology, we do recover from those illnesses, or at least we live. Probably a better word to say, we do live post a diagnosis of something massive, but your life will have changed. The quality of life will have changed. You probably need to spend more money on healthcare and services, etc. And that's really what insurance is trying to help you to protect. And that never goes away. If anything, it increases in retirement because then come the older type or older people illnesses like your dementias, your Alzheimer's, and you need full-time care. Somebody's going to pay for that. And you don't want to have to dip into your retirement/investments to pay for that. And as I say, it's always going to be a good mix of saving for the longer term, because then that should take care of all your other needs. But also, if I need help, if I need medical help, if I need intervention, that's what risk insurance specifically is there to help you with. And then back to the sickness benefit, or like I said, it's really a question. People are living longer and working longer. As long as you're working, you can have a claim on your sickness benefit as you're unable to work. So, like I said, it's that juggling and moving around with it. You can't do it once in your life and think, I'm all good. And again, that's so your advisor needs to hold you accountable and keep you honest to say, we have to review this and adjust it. And like I said, all plans will be different because we are also different.
Yeah. It's often a tendency among professionals, I suppose, especially those high income earners, to self-insure or rely on their savings. So how can advisors effectively challenge that assumption without obviously undermining the confident client?
Yeah. Look, I think the first thing is that is great. If you have an emergency fund, that is absolutely great. But the question is, how big is that fund? And how much can it actually withstand when things go wrong? Traditionally, we are always told at least have 3 months, but what 3 months worth of savings, or at least be able to look after yourself for 3 months. 3 months goes very quickly. If you go back to COVID, what seemed like lockdown for 21 days ended up being almost 2 years. And if you have only looked after yourself for 3 months, then what happens to the balance of the months? And that's what we need to do also when we speak about sickness benefits. Yes, you could be sick for a very short period of time, call it 7 days, call it even a month, right? And yes, people will always argue that these days, even things, what used to be massive, like your heart attacks in the past, was probably 6 weeks off. Now you're probably up and running in about 3 weeks. Great. But what we don't discuss too often is other illnesses really keep you down well beyond the 3 months, some even well beyond 2 years. And that's what we need to try cater for, because by then, the greatest of investments and savings will have depleted. Let's be honest. And that's and again, like I say, surely when you are saving that money, that's to look after you in retirement, that's to take the kids to school and other things that you have that you can plan for. Now you're eating away at that, and that money goes very quickly, let's be honest. So you don't want to dig into that. I mean, imagine a young person in their 30s. Firstly, they haven't built up that much reserves. That's just how life works. Secondly, even if they have, let's say there's a few really disciplined ones who have, how long is it going to last them? And that's what the risk benefits really look to, so that you've got funds specifically for those events. And guess what? If you have your sickness benefits, for example, and you've protected that, you can continue even, guess what? Saving. Because you're receiving an income that looks after your monthly expenses. That could be to pay off your bond, pay for school kids, school fees, groceries, electricity, another story, but also savings and retirement. So that's how much it equips you. That's, again, the conversation that advisors need to have with those members, that keep saving. We never ever want to discourage that, but have a backup, because very few of us can afford to live only on our savings.
Sorry for that.
No worries.
Just edit this
out. You're right.
I don't know, these days it happens every time I have interviews, so now
I'm impressed by your drinking water, so that's a good habit.
Like I try, right? Like I really try. Okay.
No, good for you, good for you.
How does PPS support advisors in deepening their conversations, whether it's through educational tools or client engagement resources?
Yeah, look, we would like to think that we do a lot. So from an education perspective, especially, we can start with that one, is that we actually have the PPS Academy that offers all sorts of courses for our advisors. And I think I speak under correction, but I've always viewed advisors as it's quite a lonely job, because most of them do it by themselves. Yes, you might work in a corporate, etc., but you essentially running your own business, and often you need support. And we offer a lot of courses that can help you with that support that you need. Advisors who are CFP, for example, they need their CPD points. And we always see the mad scramble at the end, people trying to make sure that they've got enough CPD points to keep their designation. So we offer even CPD courses just to help them fill that gap. But sometimes it's not just about the technical info. Sometimes advisors just say, it's lonely, I'm trying to run a business, I'm struggling. I need help with resilience. I need help with presentation skills.
Wow.
So we've got the softer skills as well that we're able to teach our advisors, just to really make them as strong as possible. So that's the one league. The other one would be in terms of how we are trying to enhance our conversations with members, and especially around the mutuality story, because that is a value proposition that is very different, and that we believe is a door opener for advisors then to have those conversations. People often think that the mutuality story ends at profit sharing. That's a huge component, but it doesn't just end there, because those are the conversations that will help advisors to stay with their members from the day they get them as clients all the way past retirement. And we know from a PPS perspective that a lot of our members join either in their student days, so while they're still students, or just when they start working. And we do things to help the advisors to have a long-term relationship with those clients post-retirement through our mutuality story. So that's the kind of what we try to do for our advisors. And then the last one I would like to focus on there is support services that we give to our advisors. Again, just like we don't expect our professionals to know everything, our advisors have certain skill sets that they are brilliant at, but there might be some shortcomings. So for example, we offer free fiduciary services for our advisors. They can take one of our fiduciary specialists with them to go do estate planning.
Okay.
And many a time we have seen the opportunities that unlocks for the advisor, but more importantly, unlocks, for the members, for them to see where are they going to come short. And then the advisor comes in and say, how do we fill that gap? So there's a lot of those kinds of services that we offer, both for our members, but for our advisors as well. And it is a free service. We often joke and say that's almost like the employee that you have, but without having to worry about giving them decent coffee, because we all have a story to say about coffee, and parking space, especially. So you've got this person who works full time for you at your beck and call. You keep the relationship, but they just help you to unlock opportunities, give you the credibility, and then walk away because you own that client relationship, and we do want to respect that.
Yes, that's awesome. So that is all on your website, right?
That is all on our website, alternatively through the broker consultants, because a large component of our advisors are independent, and they do have broker consultants who look after them.
Yes.
So there's many ways in which they can reach out to us to get more information and utilize the services that we offer them for free.
Ultimately, it might be a difficult question. What does true financial independence look like when we factor in health, real longevity, and the possibility of incapacity? And maybe we can add the long life ahead.
For me, it's about planning ahead. It's about trusting the process. It's about using your advisor to walk the path with you. They are masters at their craft. That's why the trust component comes in there. Find someone that you can relate to, someone who gets you, someone who understands you, someone who has your best interests at heart. And there's many good people out there, many good advisors out there. So we actually are spoiled as consumers, as policyholders, etc., in terms of that support, and then allow that person to hold your hand and guide you through the process. Most importantly, be willing to listen and accept the advice, because they're the experts, you are not. And I think if you partner that, then all of those things will come, and I always imagine when I'm in my 60s, my parents are going into retirement now, and they honestly did make all the right financial decisions.
Yeah.
And when they look back, they honestly have no regrets. And again, when I was young, there used to be a guy that walks into our house with a briefcase every time. That was their financial advisor.
Yeah.
And when, they listen to his advice and be honest with the advisor. If you can't afford a solution at a specific point in time, say, right now, I can't. Let's defer it for 3 months. Let's defer it for next year, etc. And they'll probably give you tips. Okay, fine. How then do we get you to that stage? And so walk the path with them, because they've seen it all. They've got probably even more stories than I'll ever have in my lifetime about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So trust them with your money, with their advice, especially because, and trust that they honestly have your best interest at heart. Then you will get to see the fruits of your benefit, the benefits rather of your fruits that you have sowed.
Yeah, and how much comfort that does that also give you as the child when you know your parents have gone through that journey. And that's such a critical part of educating our younger generation and making them part of those discussions and making sure that they understand what the role of that person with a suitcase is. And so that they can also apply that. I tried that with my kids, and I think it's such an important part of the generations to make sure that we all don't have to worry about looking after so many other people when at the point when it's really difficult and challenging for you. Shall be the audience is the brokers. A last message maybe to those brokers, the independents, the advisors, the guys who help you and us.
My advice to them, or it's more a message of gratitude, that firstly, there is an industry like financial advisors. We've done a lot. The industry has gone through a lot probably over the last decade. I'm giving my age away there in terms of really professionalizing the industry. So when I say we really are in good hands, we are. And there is recourse where things have gone obviously absolutely wrong. So for me, it really is about gratitude. It's about sticking with the plan and helping clients stick with the plan. And I think that role is so huge and we don't appreciate it for what it is. Because what we do want to do is to create not only a generation, but generations of financial freedom, financial savviness, where everybody is just looked after. And nobody can do that better for us than for our advisors. Like I said, it might be a slightly lonely industry, but also there is people you can lean on. There's companies like PPS you can lean on to support you, to guide you, to make your practice successful. Because if your practice is successful, South Africa is successful economically, especially.
That's an amazing, beautiful message. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And thanks for the work that you as PPS also do.
Thank you, Rianet.